So hello everyone, welcome to in the session. So I think we can start, and so if the people connect, good. So welcome. Today we have an interesting session. So make sure that you have a good connection. Also, please turn on your camera, and it will be a more friendly environment here. And just let me share my slides. Second. Good. So yeah, today, as you know, we have a growth marketing topic. So you know that we changed the dates of the session, but we're sorry for that. But so here we are. So we made it, and we have today an amazing guest that is connecting with us today. So he's Ciaran, and yep, he's from San Francisco, and he's a global marketing senior product manager at Output. And he'll tell us more about growth marketing, and you'll get to know him today. Also, he'll provide you some feedback to your pitches. So, yep, thank you for connecting with us. And the agenda for today, as you know, is startup pitching, training, and Q&A session. So you know the agenda actually. So we are pretty far in the program now. We have just one more month left. So we have today growth marketing, and please don't forget that tomorrow also we have a session. So it will be a sales session. And after that, we have just legal and the founding session. And actually you'll have 1 week where we will not have a session, and you'll prepare for the demo day, but we'll come with more details about that. So please make sure that you're not just connecting in the live sessions, but also doing mentor hours, doing homework, working group, because we have just one more month. Please make sure that you're active, doing your best. And so it's better for you to have some progress and to come up with some good feedback and some progress in this program. So I will not stop here a lot because you know the rules. So please make sure that you follow all the rules in the program. So in other ways, we have to say goodbye if you'll not follow the rules in the program. So please make sure that you are doing that. And tomorrow we'll have 3 speakers for the sales session. So please make sure that you'll be there. So we have 2 guys connecting with us from Slovenia and Alexander from Bulgaria. So it will be also an interesting session and important for you. So please make sure that you are present in the sessions. So good. So now we are moving in the startup pitching. We have a couple of the startups. I hope that you are in the session. So we'll go with the first one, and the first one will be Heidegro. So Jasur, are you here? I guess not. I saw him. I don't. Okay, let's go with the next one. So the next one will be Hug.
Can I present tomorrow? I'm not at home right now.
Okay, good. Okay, Micro Ivor, Bose, are you here?
Yes.
Can you pitch your idea?
I'm not sure if you have the slides that I sent in. I could pitch it.
So just pitch your idea without slides.
All right. Well, basically, what we want to try to do is we want to develop some new technology, and we're coming out with a line of 2 eyewears. And the first one is what we want to do is we want to reverse into the microscope into wearable technology. That way, people be able to see at micro and nano scale 24/7 on demand in real time. And then we also want to come out with a line of multispectral goggles, which would allow users to see at night and in the dark across 3 spectrums. And basically you can use this, you can apply these technology to a lot of different industries and stuff as far as using it in developing different technologies. And then we want to enter the market as a preventive medical device, and people be able to use it to do all sorts of tests and experiments at home as far as diagnostics tests, like they can do tests on skin cancer, do all kind of tests that they would normally go to the doctor would have to do. They'll be able to do that at home.
Okay, do you have any details?
Not at this time, but basically I'll be ready to present it again tomorrow. If you have the slide, I can send you the slides, and I have no problems to go into further details about the product.
Okay,
If that's okay.
Ciaran, do you have anything to add here?
Because I actually sent in 2 different pitch decks, so I don't know if you received them or not.
I'm not sure that I received it, but so let's see what we can do here. So if you have any questions here.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Bose. Is it Bose? Thank you, Bose, for your pitch. I guess,
Sure, thank you.
One question, I guess. Well, actually, one suggestion. It seems like you are going after multiple products, and I guess my question is, which product and which customer and which problem do you think is going to be the strongest, make the strongest case for what you want to do? Because I think it's worth focusing on one to begin with. It sounds like you're quite spread, which is okay, but it would be great to try and narrow down. So just curious what your thoughts on that.
Well, first we would like to develop the autonomous eyewear, which would allow people to see at micro and nano scale 24/7 on demand. And the basic features is that they'll be able to do the same thing that they do in cyberspace, but they'll be able to do it in micro and nano space. And then the average person can do a lot more in micro and nano space than they can do in cyberspace. And the difference between our glasses and our competitor glasses is that everything you see with their eyewear is computer generated images, and it's just over processing the same images over and over again to the brain. And everything that you see with our eyewear is real, and it's in real time, and all the information you get is accurate and 24/7 in real time. So basically that's the difference between our eyewear and any other eyewear. And the technology in eyewear that we developed, it's never been on the market before. It's first generation and things like that. So it's never been out there. And so basically what we feel like it will deprivatize and commercialize the micro and nano industries, and people will be able to get jobs and things like that in the industry right now that they can't get. And we want to develop a proprietary device that will allow people to see an instant distinction at micro and nano scale, and also to be able to see at distinctions of fluids and things, and technology and things like that. Okay. So basically, we feel like normal vision is not enough vision right now in today's world. With like a lot of the projects is on the products, they say micro this, micro that, and people really don't understand what the microscopic world is all about. And like I said, we also feel like it's got a lot to do with as far as evolving in our evolution, because like you can do somatic hypermutation as far as things like that, and convergence evolution, which would is evolutionary solutions to the problems like we have now with coronaviruses and things like that, because it's going to be endless testing and so forth, and viruses and things like that. And we want to develop like portable labs, public labs, labs for homes and businesses and things like that too.
I guess, Bose, yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you've got a vision, all right, which is great. I guess the feedback would be to, think about the first use case, and think about, who's your customer and what specific problem you're going to solve for that case. Because otherwise, I think it's very easy to go down multiple paths without really doing one very well. So just think about a single use case where you think there's a market, where you think you're solving a problem that needs to be solved, that no one else is solving, or that maybe isn't being solved so well. And that would be my feedback.
All right, thank you.
Good, thank you both. Thank you and also thank you for feedback. So the next one is steeper.
Yes, hello. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Okay. Just a second, please. Okay, you see everything?
Yes.
Okay. Can I start?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so we are Steeper. We choose the six segments like healthy care and advertising. So we start with the problems. A lot of people who after the COVID didn't moving any day, like start to be lazy. And also in the world, a lot of big traffic, gym in the city because the people using especially the cars and the motor bicycle. So that's why a lot of the gas coming out in atmosphere, and we don't have a good like a smell in atmospheres. So the solution, we want to create a unique platform, like the platform we will collect the daily point for the different people who will move, like they make a different steps, and they will be exchanged with different point, and also this point can be exchanged with the like good vouchers. So we want to make two different applications. One application will be for all user, like will be free user who can make daily steps or play sports and like running, like something like that, and collect daily point and exchange this point for the different vouchers. And we have also the application for the business account, where the business can post limited vouchers. So how does it work for a free user? It will be like subscribe for free. They all free user can also share landmarks. It will be also the part of marketing, like for make more free user, collect daily point by the step, exchange the point for the voucher, and take some discount in the end. For the business account, it will be work like the business model will be like subscribe for 3 months. It will be for $399. For 6 months, it will be $699, and for 1 year, it will be $999. So the business account can post like limited voucher for weekly, have direct payment for the any holders, and to have in the end, because this is more important for any business, have more clients. So the market size for there's two different market size. The first market size is we take Italy, especially because we want to launch our product in Italy. So it's around 60 million people who live in Italy. We took from age from 16 to 65 years old. It will be like 39 million person who can be part of our application, who can download our application and be part of our project. And the second part is the business model for the advertising. Like you see from 2099 to 2022, the part of advertising have more people who invest in advertising. It starts to be 5.2% than last year's. We have also competitors. Our competitors is like Groupon, who I don't think you hear about this, Freedom, Sweetcoin, and Stepan. Then also we want to add the different like marketing project in our way to work. It will be like YouTube channel, TikTok account, Instagram as well. And our mission, we want to motivate any person in the world by good discount voucher. They can get playing sport and activities. And our slogan is welcome more, take discount. And we are three, in our team is three parts. We have founder, it's me, and business co-founder, and we add new partners as technical co-founders as well, who work for the technical things. And that's it. Thank you for attention.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So it's time for questions or feedback.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Sorry
So-
for my English. I try to be.
No, so your English is perfect.
Thank you.
I think first of all, congratulations on your presentation. I think you have there was a lot in there that looked really good. It seems like you've got a clear vision for where you want to go. I appreciated how you are focused on a single market, and also how you're trying to think about customers. Also, I thought your ideas around the freemium model, that's certainly a proven model in the past. So I think that's worth exploring. I guess couple of key questions, I guess. One was, is there any particular customer segment, for example, who would value vouchers more than others? So where my mind goes to is like our students, like 16 to 65 is a pretty broad market, and it may be helpful to narrow down. And what came to mind was maybe, again, I don't know if it's, but students or someone who maybe they do need vouchers because they don't have a lot of money. And maybe they're a bit more motivated to actually get the vouchers as well as do the exercise. So maybe just to think about where your starting point for customer segments is.
Yeah, actually we choose different segments, especially like business segments. It will be for a restaurant, because we have also 4 potential clients. Also, we don't have a ready application, but because we already finished to the make technical way for give to the designer part. So we are in this part, we stop it in this part. And we have also the different person from tourism, because I live 15 years in Italy, so I work in tourist way. So a lot of people walking too much, like they doing daily a lot of steps, because if you go to the visit Colosseum, then you go to the Vatican, that's maybe 4 kilometers from there, and you go with the guided person, like the same things. This tourists can exchange they points for take some discount in restaurant, some discount in different niche, like maybe healthy life, or something maybe choose some shoes like Nike or something like that. So we want to, when we have more clients, free users, like maybe it will be billion download our application. Maybe we can take this billion downloaded for free users application. We can show to the Nike, like for advertising, ask them if they want to be promote they shoes also for our application as well, something like that.
Yeah, I think you're onto the right in terms of like trying to match the customer with the discount piece. I think it'll be important that match is a good match. For example, a student may not want, something that an old person would want, and vice versa. So I think that's good.
Okay,
I think
thank you.
The other comment I had is, I guess in terms of solving the problem, I get where you're trying to go, but are people going to be like, what's going to make this more compelling than just another app that measures your activity? So for example, like Fitbit is out there, the Apple Watch does all of that.
Yes.
So my question is, what's going to be more compelling that they would go onto this platform? And you don't have to answer that. That's just a question to think about. And the third question is, I noticed you mentioned competitors, which again, kudos to you for actually doing that and writing and finding your competitors. But to think about what's going to be different or unique to your solution, if you could maybe add that in the presentation, or maybe again you don't have to answer that, but what's going to be unique or different about your solution?
Actually, solution for our competition, we have we study different competition with the project what we do, and the competitors is like Groupon have the big problems because they business didn't receive money in the same time with the clients. Because if you have a business, first of all you will sign the contracts with the Groupon, then Groupon will sell the vouchers for the clients. The clients go to the business, exchange these vouchers to the business, but the business can give some food or something with discount, but the Groupon will pay to the business after 2-3 months. So the problems here, the time what the business can lose. We want to give to the direct business, the direct client. So like you make the 1,000 steps, you had 100 points, you open the map, you will see there you have some close to you, some maybe restaurant who offer for the 100 points some happy hour, like not cost for 10 euro, but maybe cost 7 euro if you exchange this point. After you go to the restaurant, show your QR code, because any free user will have different QR code. The restaurant who will have their they can shoot the QR code and we'll see the person will come to see also the conversion as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to give direct to the business, new clients, potential clients. And you will see in the map, like if you come from Spain, it will be future also. But if you come from Spain, Italy, you will make your steps, you open the map, you'll see, oh, there you have discount. Like you will not pay maybe 10 euro, you will pay 7 just to change your points for your steps. And a lot of people have the problems because don't make a lot of sports daily. They eating a lot of not good food. The same way is for the people who will die after 6 years. That we have different research we did. A lot of people dying with the heart attack because they didn't any sports in daily life. So we want to give this special motivation. I know it's not too much what we give, but the points they can have some motivation. Maybe people will choose the segments, like maybe you maybe some new potential new PlayStations, like PlayStation 5, and we signed it with business with some shops for some discount for 30 or 40 euro for PlayStation 11 like this. And your segment you can choose, and you have 30 euro discount for take the new PlayStation, something like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you need to really think about that piece. How are you going to make this as compelling as possible? And then I think the other thing is that it may be worth thinking about starting in one city rather than taking on all of Italy. Try and make it successful in a town or a city that you know.
And
then,
we start in Rome, especially in Italy.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a good idea. Start in just one place and make it successful there, and then expand.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next startup is Must Course, if the guys are here. Mircea, are you here or no? No? Okay. We'll go with the next one, with Hypenet and Sylvia.
Yes, I'm here. Do you hear me?
You send me the slides. So.
Great. Hello, everybody. So I'm Sylvia, and my startup is called Hypenet, where we are making technology easy for seniors. How many times have your parents or grandparents asked for your help when using new technologies? Have you always been able to be there for them? Or did the guilt of being too busy take over you again? Ever since computer and internet technology boomed and sped right past seniors, they got stuck in an outdated world. Seniors need our help with new technologies, and this is absolutely okay. Not having a dedicated service to do this for them is not. According to WHO, the pace of population aging is much faster now than in the past. By 2050, the world's population of people aged 60 plus will double, reaching 2.1 billion. On the other hand, we have the digital transformation that becomes the new normal. While smart devices and internet subscriptions are more affordable, the world's fastest growing population segment has no available service offering continuous tech support and basic digital skills training. Even though most seniors have access to internet connected devices, 90% of the European Union population has access to internet, they do not use it efficiently. So the solution, Hypenet is the online platform that provides digital training skills designed to help seniors learn how to use new technology. So technology is scary for older people. Thankfully, we are going to change that. Our online courses are logically structured and the teaching methods are adapted for reaching the best learning outcome. Our teachers are ready to remotely assist all the adults in solving immediate tech issues or teach them something new about smart devices, like a search engine for information or downloading and saving something discovered online. We are going to help them on board into the digital world and feel empowered by technology, making their later life better. So how it works? Okay, so for example, a senior or a younger relative pays online the chosen subscription and fills in the form, the contact form on the website. We are going to contact the senior by email or phone and help him with the onboarding. On the training day, the senior connects on the platform and participates into the course with the trainer and other minimum 2 seniors. So it's going to be a mini group. During the learning period, the customer can also call us on our support number for information on the taught material. As for the market slide, the market, yes, thank you. So here we have the TAM. For the TAM, I have been focused only on the Romanian and Moldovan market. So it should be 28.6 million euros. For the SAM, it's only Moldovan market, and for the SOM, it's only the center part of the Moldovan people, and who actually have already a computer at home, which should be the number that you see on the slides. As for the competition slide, yes, thank you. So we're going to be the best because we are hoping to be quick in response and to to have a fitted teaching approach. Because our customers now in Moldova and in Romania, they only can get digital skills from younger neighbors, younger relatives, go online, participate in a few governmental programs available in Moldova, organized by the providers of mobile internet that initiate the programs to improve digital literacy and make them become customers afterwards. So we are, yes, the secret sauce. So we're going to be the best because our secret sauce. We're going to teach digital skills that after the pandemic became very important for adapting to the new reality in terms of work, health, shopping, information, or even staying connected to family. We're going to be a new service on the market for seniors only, so they could trust us and stick to us. We're offering instant, continuous, and empathic support to any request. And because of the now important number of younger relatives working or living abroad, we're going to connect the abroad living people from Moldova with the seniors that are left in our country. As for the revenue models, it's going to be a subscription-based one. As you can see, it's going to be a standard, basic, and premium one, depending on the number of trainings and the frequency and the prices. Finally, the go-to-market. So we're going to target 2 types of customers, the paying customers and the end customers. So for the seniors, they're going to be targeted by offline methods. And for younger relatives, we're going to use the online methods like landing pages, SEO, CMM, email marketing. And now for the next slide, please. Yes, I'm the only one in the team and I'm searching for a co-founder. Please, if somebody is interested, a technical co-founder, if somebody is interested in my idea, please contact me. I have my contacts on the last slide and by email or by phone. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Sylvia, for the presentation. Now, if you have any feedback.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sylvia, for your presentation. It was excellent. So yeah, just start on. I thought I think the problem was very well defined, and certainly I could relate to that. So I could cringe when you were saying it. So I think that's again very good. I think the solution sounds very interesting for sure, in terms of actually trying to address that problem, because I do think it is a problem. You know, I liked how you have obviously put some thought into again the market size and the overall market. I also appreciated the thought that you put into the revenue model and the I guess the go-to-market with the customers and end users. Again, I think there's a lot of really strong components in your presentation. I guess a couple of questions. What do you think are the, you know, the sort of, is there a sort of a shopping list of the 4 or 5 top skills or top things that you think these seniors will want? And
Yeah. Okay.
And do you have any data on that? And then secondly, I guess, yeah, just maybe a start there.
I can start?
Yeah, or just on that question, sorry, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, not only the seniors, but also younger relatives like daughters or friends that are younger, they are interested in the cybernetic security, how to stay online, safe online, like tips and tricks to stay safe online. But also they are interested in communicating, like knowing how to communicate, have channels to communicate, like Messenger, Viber, WhatsApp, and everything that provides communication with people that live abroad, because everybody in Moldova has at least a friend or a family member that is working or living abroad. And to stay connected, you have to know how to use new technology. And also, according to the customer development that I already have done, people are also interested in just becoming more independent. Not everybody, but there is a certain segment of people, usually those who have a bit more money, or maybe they have more free time, they live in cities. They are very interested in discovering the world, in finding information online, like stalking photos, because they have smart devices, but they are afraid to use it fully, like to use the features. So did I answer to your question?
Yeah, you mentioned messaging, you mentioned independence, and you mentioned security. So that's great. Thank you.
3, okay.
I think the other question I had is,
yes,
I guess just on market size. Obviously, the market size is something that's evolving, where, you know, the existing generation are maybe technophobes, but maybe the generations that are coming after are better. So have you thought about,
yeah,
I guess the market slide you showed, it looked a little bit small, if I'm being honest. And again, that would, you know, maybe it's a great lifestyle business, but I'm just curious about how do you think there's enough people out there who will want this service, I guess?
yes, for the let's say 20 years from now, this digital skills course is it's okay, it's going to be accepted, and I think it's going to have customers, but I will have to have more services to offer. This is why I am planning on to provide more services for the seniors care, something in this direction, because they do need some more services, like transportation, maybe to the doctor, maybe grocery shopping, or something that they are not they do not have the force or maybe the ability to do anymore, and I can pop in and help them. But this is going to be in the future, for a few years in front of me. In the future, I'm going to be I don't know, maybe a year. I have to test everything, because I'm still talking to mentors, I'm still developing the idea. So my first idea is the digital training, but practically everybody asks me this question, like, how do you see this in 20, 30 years in the future? So yes, I will have to multiply these services.
Yeah, I actually think it's even closer than that, because I actually think, again, I think you have the, it's great that you're targeting a very specific segment, and I think you have huge potential to open this out into something else, and solve sort of other problems, either directly or indirectly, like whether it's cross-selling, for example, like loneliness. You know, would this be, you know, an entryway into something that develops, you know, that may be a company pivot in the future, that's a much larger market, but maybe starts here. So anyway, I think it's very compelling and very interesting, and I think there's a lot of emotion in here. So I think there's for the customers in mind. So thank
you very much for your feedback.
Thank you.
Yes, it's very important for me to see how other people see my idea and how they see it in the future, and mostly the feedback that gives me the critical part. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Sylvia, for the presentation, and thank you for all the startups who pitched today. And for now, I think we can jump into the session. And Ciaran, I think if you are ready, you you can have the floor from now on.
Sure, yeah, no, thank you, Cardo. And good evening and good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with you and learn more about your startups.
And if you can, from the beginning, or maybe you have in the slides, share more about your experience. Yes.
Sure, yeah. So I'm originally from Ireland, but I've been living in the US for about 14 years. I've been based in San Francisco for about the last 8 years. My background is my background is sort of in science, but all of my experience has been in consumer product and medical products. Well, most of my experience has been in consumer product and medical product development and marketing. I've worked at everything from I've had my own little business for a while that didn't go so well. I was fortunate, I was very lucky to be part of a tech startup that almost made it big, but didn't. It crashed and burned in San Francisco. And I've worked in large corporations as well. So I've been fortunate to have a wide range of experiences, which hopefully can share some of that today, and hopefully some of it's useful. Most of my experience has also been in I would call it close to the customer. So it's product marketing, a lot of product marketing in global markets. So I've marketed, or I've helped launch products in lots of countries all around the world, and that's been interesting to sort of learn and see what are the different parts and the different needs of different markets. So yeah, I'm happy to share anything else at the end. I guess before we begin, I'd like to just hear from you guys. So the topic of tonight's talk is growth marketing, but I'd really appreciate if you guys could maybe drop one question into the chat. What's one question that you would like answered during this session, or what's one question relevant to this topic that would be good to discuss as a group at the end? So if we can just take 30 seconds and I appreciate if everyone would actually do that, if that's okay. And maybe Cardo, you can share with me when the questions are coming through, just so that we know we're getting some response, please.
Okay, so there is not yet any questions. Guys, please write.
Good evening. Should we write in the chat, or can we just?
Yeah, if you put it in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
Capture them all. Thank you. So again, on the topic of growth marketing, what's one question you have that may be in this domain that's relevant to you and your startup? Or that's just a general question that you have that you'd like to know more information about?
So don't be shy, there is no wrong questions.
Yeah, it can be anything. Even if it's not related to growth marketing, just any marketing in general, we can also just address those if we have time. So when we get to 5, I'll move on. Are we at 5 yet, Cardo?
No, we have 1.
All right. Well, now I'd ask you as we go through the session, if there are questions that come up, maybe you can continue to add them to the chat, so that at the end we can come back and discuss them and just make for a more interesting conversation. And again, please just put everything in there. There's no right or wrong answers. I'm hoping to learn from you, and hopefully we can all learn from each other here. No one has all the answers, that's for sure. So on the topic of growth marketing, the one thing I would say is that this is a relatively new area, and sometimes in my experience at least, it can be a little bit intimidating when we hear things that are new or that are different. And what I would say is that to sort of get past any concerns you might have about this, ultimately, at the end of the day, we've defined products and services that customers want to buy. And we need to do that in a way that's reproducible to sustain a business. So that's the high level, as you guys all know. And as we break that down into different segments, some of the sort of the definitions out there that you'll see in texts or on blogs are that, traditional marketing perhaps just focused on making customers aware of your brand, making customers aware of your product or service, and then trying to get those customers. Whereas growth marketing perhaps suggests that to think about it a little differently, rather than think of maybe marketing in a silo, that we should think about growth across the full sales cycle, and that should be a part of the culture of a company. So whereas if you look at this here, for marketing, they say awareness and acquisition. For growth, they talk about activation, retention, revenue, and referral, and we'll speak to each of those. But growth marketing perhaps is more of a, every part of the team, sales, marketing, customer service, customer success, all of these different parts of a business support growth. The other thing that's relevant, I think, in this slide is, in the past, there was limited access to data because a lot of marketing was offline. Whereas now with technology, there's just more and more data that allows us to, support some of the decisions that we make. So rather than perhaps guess, we can now take our best knowledge, add that to the data that we have, and then see what decision that we'd like to make. But before going into growth marketing, I think it's important to, set the stage or set the context. And for every startup, and I know you guys are probably working on this, is, who is your customer? What's the problem that you're trying to solve, or what's the solution that you're going to provide? And what's the message or core content that you want to deliver to try and attract this customer? And some of the pitches did a fantastic job of this, where rather than just talking about customers in general, it's important to think about your customers as customer segments. So for example, in this particular example, there's different aspects of a customer that you can put down. So it's gender, age, maybe, skill level. In this particular example, it's golf. So we could talk about all golfers as one big group, but it's more effective when we try and segment these so that we can actually market specifically to these groups rather than just market to all golfers. And especially it allows us to be more targeted. So for example, if I had a tech solution and I was trying to sell it to the value performance guy, that may be a bad, if I had an expensive tech solution, marketing to the value performance golfer will be a waste of money because they prefer low cost and they're tech phobic. Whereas if I was marketing to the tour performance golfer, they're super premium, so they don't mind spending a lot of money and they are tech savvy. And it's important to have these distinctions as you're thinking about your customers. When it comes to messaging too, it's important to really listen and do some research on this so that the words you're using are easily understood by your customers. So for example, maybe we can do a little poll here. In the past, would you believe I worked for an ab toning belt company, which sounds like a joke or a bad joke, but actually it was approved as a medical device and was one of the first ones. But are there any of these claims that you think would be more successful than another claim? So if we had cameras here, I'd do a show of hands, or you can actually do a show of hands. How many think maybe, is it flatter stomach? Is it firmer abs? Is it more toned? Actually, I won't delay, I'll just continue. But basically, the key selling message here was flatter stomach. When we used this in marketing, this message was the most responsive. And then thirdly, what's your core content? So obviously you may have a website, you may have videos, you may have templates, you may have FAQs and sales training tools. But what is the content that you're going to need in order to go into the market and help sell your solution? So that's the sort of the precursor to the growth marketing. I'm now going to talk about a specific growth marketing framework that is acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. And again, I would encourage everyone to perhaps take some notes and add something into maybe if you have a pen and paper, just to jot down something so that by the end of this we can have a discussion about some of the topics that came up. So I think for me, at least, one of the things that I find very helpful when in business in general is frameworks. Because if I can have a framework, it seems like it's easier to put all these different ideas into a single place and to, I guess, understand it and to actually action it in a business. And I'm sure there's other frameworks out there. I'm not saying this is the only framework, but this is the framework that we'll discuss tonight, or I'll discuss tonight. So this is a sort of a pretty, what would you say? It's a pretty simple growth marketing framework, and it has these different phases. So acquisition. So how are you going to acquire your customers, or how are your customers going to find you? Activation. How are you going to give an initial good experience of your product or service? Retention. How do you repeatedly bring back your customer to your service or product after their first experience? Referral. How do you turn your happy customers into maybe brand ambassadors or evangelists so that they go and tell others about your service? And then revenue. How do you make sure you maximize the revenue that you get from your customers? So we're going to speak to each one of these individually. So let's start with acquisition. And acquisition has probably been, in marketing at least, one of the areas which for some time we've continued to get a lot of data. And it's been an area where data analytics has been very strong. When you're thinking about acquisition, it's important to think about what channel you're going to use. Are you going to use Facebook? Are you going to use Instagram? Are you going to use, I saw in Sylvia's when she's actually going to hand out flyers, perhaps because older people are more likely to, read a flyer than go onto TikTok. So it's important to think about the channels. This is an example of medical devices, where you'll see that, believe it or not, still today, the sales representative is the best channel when selling medical products, which is probably intuitive because, these are maybe complex products that need a lot of training, and the risk or the patients are at risk. So it's important to have as much support as possible. Okay, so let's think about acquisition. So what I would say is that for your business, it might be interesting for you just to lay out what you think your acquisition funnel looks like. And we'll do just a couple of examples. And again, this may be simple for some of you out there. If it is, I apologize. But I think it's good just to always, even if you know all of this, think about it again, or is there anything new or different that has changed from the last time you did this? So take this is a funnel, and I'm not saying this is the best funnel, but it is a funnel where perhaps you place Facebook ads and you spend 100 lei. Is that the Moldovan currency?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say there. So it's 100 lei you spend, and I don't know if that's a lot or little, but on Facebook ads. And what that does is that gets 10 customers or 10 prospects to visit your website. On your website, you have a chat tool. So 5 of those customers chat with you and ask you more questions. 3 of those customers are happy with the answers and ask for a demo. And when you do a demo, 2 of the customers to subscribe. So you can see here that in this simple funnel, the customer acquisition cost would be 50 lei. You spent 100 lei and you got 2 customers or 2 subscribers. And again, I know the B2B cycle is much longer than that, but bear with me for the example. Another example is the, maybe a sort of a more consumer-facing app. So maybe this is for example, this is the walk and coupon app, where again, you spend 10 lei on Facebook ads and you get 5 downloads, and maybe one of those is paid. So what I would say is that forget the different steps. It would be important for you to think about this for your business. What are the different, what does your funnel look like? And then you can set KPIs and pretty easily measure that because of the data that's available. Facebook has excellent analytics. Most websites have excellent analytics, so that you can actually learn what the ratios are and then improve or optimize as you wish. One of the parts of acquisition is optimization, which I just mentioned. And maybe you've already tested your messaging and your content, but this is just, I'm not saying you may need to do this, but people sometimes talk about A/B testing, so I said I would mention it. So if you take an email, for example, there's lots of ways to sort of do A/B testing. If you've got 100 potential prospects, you could send 50 emails to one set of customers, and 50 emails to the other customers, and then measure the open rates, the click-through rates, and the conversion rates on those, and see, is there something in one email? Is there something about that email that does better? You can change, obviously, all the different parts of it. You can change the subject line, the call to action, the content type. And this is applicable to all content. This could be your web pages, this could be your ads, this could be your trainings. But it's important as you go through this process to document what is the latest and greatest best practices, so that rather than just spend money on the wrong things, you're constantly learning and optimizing for what your customers' needs are. It's also important to understand the buying cycles when you're thinking about acquiring customers. And this is an example of the golf industry. So in the golf industry, about 30% of all revenue, or of all sort of customer purchases, is done in December, and about, say, 15%. I mean, these are averages, but basically, April, May. So once the summertime in Europe and the US starts, that's the largest golf purchasing season. And then the Christmas or holiday period is the second largest. So again, maybe if you're working with businesses, maybe they have an annual budget cycle, which usually is finalized in September, October for the following year. So maybe you want to target trying to close your business around then. Or for consumers, maybe, again, going back to the walking app, maybe in February, March, when things are beginning to warm up and people are going outside, maybe that's the best time to start your marketing campaign to attract or acquire customers. And in general, there's a lot of standard marketing tactics that can be used to acquire customers, whether it's search engine ads, social promotions, press articles, all of the other traditional marketing tools that you would have seen. So that's activation, that was acquisition. So let's move on to activation. So really, activation is all about, how do you make sure that your customer has a very positive experience with your product or service, especially in the initial stages when they may choose to continue or not continue. And here's just a very simple example again. And, this, it may be helpful for you to write down, what does your customer onboarding look like? Or what does the customer journey look like as they begin to use your product or service? And in that customer journey, there may be certain steps to get to that part where, they finally, for example, in the app where the old people, maybe they sign up, they take a class, but maybe there's one specific technique that they've never learned, and they learn that technique, and then they actually do it on their phone, and they are ecstatic because they are so happy they learned, and now they can, you know, call their friends in other countries. So what are the steps that you need to get to that, and how can you smooth that out? So again, this is pretty general, but you know, a lot of companies do not do this, or do not certainly do it well. So I think documenting this and then actually being systematic about seeing where are the high hurdles in your process and maybe where are the low hurdles via user experience research. And then again, you can optimize, or you can set KPIs for each of these and measure it. So for example, if you have an app, you may want, you know, how many UI screens does it take to get to the wow moment, or how many clicks, or how many app usages does it typically take? If you have a physical product, you know, what is the time to product setup? Does it take 5 minutes, or does it take 30 minutes? And again, you can set these for your own business. Okay, next we move to retention. And I guess the main theme throughout this is that growth marketing, one of the key components is that we're able to measure everything much more so than we were previously. And that measurement allows us to just be more strategic about how we move our business forward. The next one is retention. So how do you bring back your customers so that they continue to use your product or service? And I think for retention, you know, there's a number of sort of this is almost like common sense in lots of ways. But you know, does your product do what it says? Does the product or service perform well? Is it a positive experience? So for example, for software, maybe it's, you know, platform uptime, which isn't that big an issue, but maybe it's bug count. Is your software, does it have 100 bugs, or does it have 10 bugs, and how do you try and manage that? For hardware, it's simpler. It's either defects or returns. Or in person, it's maybe the experience. You know, maybe you're offering a service where, again, if it's the online teaching, you know, is it a 2-star experience, or is it a 5-star? How easy is it to use your service? Another big component of retention is customer support. So in many instances, customer support can be a key differentiator for customers and for businesses. So for example, these are some of the, again, some of this is common sense again, but maybe you have maybe a customer support widget on your website. And again, you can measure some of the metrics that may be important. So what is your time to first response? If a customer emails you on Tuesday, you know, are you able to respond in 24 hours or 48 hours? And how can you do that? Below, you'll see I actually worked at a company where I oversaw customer operations, and you can see that our average response time was about just over 20 hours. We set it for, I think it was 24 hours. So you can see that in some months we actually achieved our goal, but in other months we did not. But you can see overall the graph is trending down, so we were improving over time. The next thing you can check is, you know, customer resolution. Was it resolved or not? And how did your team do? Another component when you're thinking about retention or keeping your customers is the value. So it's important to think about that. You as a company, or, you know, there's different dimensions of value. As a company, you may provide value. As a product, you may provide value. And you as a person or as a company employee may provide value to your end users or customers. So for example, you may offer free training webinars, which is a value add to your customers, in addition to the product or solution that you offer. Or also perhaps you're a domain expert or a thought partner. So again, when they come to you with questions from customer service, and that's also a value add for them. The second part of retention is the product or service you add. So here's an example of an iPhone. So maybe when we all started purchasing iPhones, you know, we purchased them because we wanted to make phone calls. However, afterwards, once we saw that, we said, okay, actually, I also want to set an alarm, so that over time, you see increased value in your product, and increased value over time increases retention. So it might be worthy to think about, you know, what's the first problem and the most important problem that you can solve for your customer. But then maybe are there other problems that may be useful to that customer that you can also solve? And then this is pretty obvious as well. It's simple relationship management. How are you going to communicate with your customers over time? And these are some of the, you know, maybe some of these are more business related, some of these are more software related. But here is one interesting tool which I thought was really good. This company actually shares their product roadmap with their customers. So customers can actually vote on the features that they want to be seen. So in this way, you're keeping your customers engaged, you're showing them what's coming down in the future. And I think this was a very successful tool for this company, sharing the product roadmap. And there's different KPIs. You know, retention rate is, you know, maybe if you've got maybe 10 new customers, or you've 10 customers and you, you know, you sort of, you got 2 new ones this month and none left, well, then you'd still have 10. Churn or return rate is, you know, how many left? Did you lose customers this week? And dormant rate, maybe they're the customers who have stopped using your product but have not left fully. And again, all of these can be measured. And if you have an app, it is worth noting that, you know, if you lose customers on a regular basis, you have to grow a lot to keep your revenues. So again, it's the same for return goods. Any physical returns, you know, have a huge cost and time and resources. So anything you can do to keep a customer is worth doing. Referrals. So one of the other ways when you're thinking about growth marketing is to really think about your ultimate aim, or one of your ultimate aims is happy referenceable customers. And maybe you've seen this before, maybe you have not, but this is a simple tool that a lot of companies use to measure customer sort of satisfaction. And you'll see you have, it's a 0 to 10 scale where 10 and 9 are promoters, 8 and 7 are passives, and then 0 to 6 are detractors. And in order to calculate what is called the net promoter score, first of all, on the left-hand side, you typically ask the question, how likely are you to recommend our product or service to someone else? And they score it. And it's calculated simply by, it's the promoters minus the detractors. So if you have 30% promoters, 10% detractors, you've got a 20%. And again, this is something you can survey your customers on an ongoing basis to see how satisfied or not are they, and take action accordingly. And I really like this quote because I think it summarizes it well. Shruti, who's also, she was a mentor in Founders Institute. She works for Stripe now, I believe. She said that, you know, she thought it was better for your first 100 customers to love you rather than your first 1,000 customers to like you. So in other words, if you can get your customers to really love what you're doing, what your company's doing, and be advocates so that they can support you, that's fantastic. Because if they are supportive, they essentially can help sell your product when others cannot. And here's just some examples of reviews. I like this example because the customer says here, it's an Amazon review for a product where the product broke, but because the customer service team did a great job, he kept on using the product and was even very complimentary and said that basically he's going to keep on using this and that the customer service were fantastic. And you can see here that, you know, the sort of the summary for me is even though the product was broken, he still gave it 5 stars and 72 people found this helpful. So this was, you know, pretty influential, you know, a sort of review. So I think it's important to think about, you know, as you're sort of working with customers to keep them happy so that they give positive reviews. And if you want to, you can offer them incentives so that if they are happy customers, you can ask them to refer to someone else and save money, maybe to refer to a friend, to share with their friends, or to, you know, if they buy this, you'll donate something to charity. So there's a few different ways you can incentivize your customers to take more action. And finally, revenue. I mean, most of you, again, seem like in some of the pitches, there was a clear idea of the revenue model. And one metric that you may be asked about from investors, at least, is your customer lifetime value. And simply calculated, it's just, you know, how much money do you think this customer will spend with you over the entire experience together? And very simply here, if a customer, the average customer contract, say for a business, is 3 years, and it's a monthly subscription of 10 lei, 120 annually, 360 total. So your customer lifetime value is 360. It's also worth thinking about, you know, will you offer upsells or cross-sells? Again, in Sylvia's presentation, there may be some additional cross-selling of other services that may be beneficial to seniors. And then is your pricing strategy, is there ways to optimize that for the future? You can start with a specific pricing strategy, but maybe over time, new users will pay more for the same service. I just won't speak too much to this. I mean, this is very text heavy, and I apologize. You know, there's lots of ways to automate your business. You know, ask your CTO what you need to do, but essentially there's ways that you can automate all of this so it becomes very easy to manage. In terms of some of the tools, I have a few examples here for analytics. Obviously, maybe many of you will have Google Analytics on your web page. You may also have social analytics. There's different tools that are out there for chat, for email marketing, customer support, research. And then I'd all encourage you all to get familiar with Zapier. Sometimes you may have different software tools, which if they're not connected together, don't allow you to integrate all the data. And Zapier is a great tool to make sure that all your data is linked so you can have a better overview. There's some great resources out there on LinkedIn. There's a growth marketing course if you're really interested. Google's got some great resources. Some of the blogs on HubSpot or the other MarTech blogs, and some of the peer stuff. So in summary, this is an easy framework to think about growth marketing. Maybe this isn't where you're at the moment, but as you're thinking about your business, think about the strategy and how you might want to measure some of these different features as you're growing your business so that you can, again, gather data and incorporate that into the business that you are pushing. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them, or perhaps we can even look at some of the questions in the question box.
Great. Thank you so much. It was a very nice and insightful presentation. It will be very useful for our founders. And thank you for that. Yeah, we have a couple of questions in the chat, and I also see Ciaran raised hand.
Yes. Do you have experience with telemedicine market?
Sorry, Ciaran, could you repeat the question?
Yes. Do you have experience with telemedicine market?
Telemedicine, not so much, a small piece. What's the question?
Yeah, question about global market and how you target this market. What was the frequency of buyers about questions about this?
Okay, yeah. So I do know the company PlushCare, and they're a telemedicine company. And what they did was they focused initially on some very specific illnesses. So for example, they focused on urinary tract infection and highlighted some of those very specific illnesses and marketed those to, say, for example, I think urinary tract infections are much more common in young women. So they picked a very specific issue. They picked a very specific customer segment, and then they did a lot of search and, basically Google ads, Facebook ads, to get their initial customers and build their customer base. And once they had a very large customer base in that, they moved on to the next illness and the next illness. That's number one. The second thing they did was they did a nice job of content marketing for the seasons. So for example, they would content market in November for people to get a flu shot, because lots of people in the US get a flu shot. They would content market in March for people who have hay fever. They would content market for people in June going on holidays, get a checkup. So they used the annual cycle as well as specific diseases to grow their customer base. And then they moved into eventually they moved into a subscription model and were actually acquired. So that was my experience of that company.
Can you tell again the name of company?
Plush Care.
Plush Care. Thank
The
you.
guys are building actually a startup in telemedicine. This is why the question came.
Pardon me?
I mean, the guys are building a startup in telemedicine, so this is why.
Okay. Now again, all the best of luck. Yeah, it's a great area.
Yeah. I really like the idea with the season marketing. It's a very nice insight. So the next question is from the chat: how to spend less but still grow your market?
How to spend less but still grow your market. So, so I think customer. I mean, I guess I'll answer it generally, and then if Colin can also give it just a bit more information. So I think how to spend less and still grow your market is, I think you have to be very, very targeted on your customer segment. If you're going after, if you don't know the very specific customer segment that you're going for, you can spend a lot of money. So I think it's very important to have a narrow focus. That's number one. And the second thing, like I showed in the presentation, it's very important to have the right message. So before you spend any money, I think you can speak to your potential customers about your product or service and ask them to describe it, like what's the main benefit for them, and hear from them what's the language that they use, and it's the easiest language to understand. So that, again, with the example I showed, if I said flatter stomach, 9 out of 10 people buy the product. If I say toned abs, only 5. Both of them are benefits, but there's a benefits hierarchy. And I think you have to be aware of that. But if you have any other information about your question, I'd be happy to understand it more.
Colin, if you are here, if you want to add something about your question, so you're welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Just 1 second.
So basically, I meant once you've set up you decided your target groups, and now you don't want to increase the money you spend on them. That's my meaning, and I think that's what I meant. And I think you've with the narrowness and with the message you were clear, definitely the message. You've answered my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, no, thank you.
So the next question is actually also from Colin: how to use recommendations?
Yeah, it's referrals actually.
Okay.
So I think it's a great question. I think a couple of thoughts. In the early stages, I think you can be more aggressive with your not more aggressive, aggressive is the wrong word. You can be more, I think you can be more asking for help in the early stages of your business with customers. So for example, if you do have, say, 10 customers, you can either reach out to them directly and call them and say, thank you for using our service. Is there anyone who you would recommend this to? And would you be open to recommending this? We're really trying to build a business here. So I think in the early stage of a startup, sometimes people are willing to help if they like your service or product. So I think just asking them directly to help. Obviously, you can do the traditional ones, will you share on social media? So for example, you can ask them to share a post about your company. That's another idea. Another ask is you can ask them for a testimonial. So you can ask them, hey, listen, would you be willing to give us a testimonial that we can use on our website or use in our own marketing? I think they're you can ask directly for them to spread the news, or you can ask them for other types of help. So I think again, in an early stage business, you can always frame it as, we are an early stage business and we are trying to spread the word about our company. Would you be willing to do this to help? And I think many times people say yes. That's the experience I had in a tech startup where we were an early stage company, and it was almost like they were cheering for us. They wanted us to be successful, so they were going to extra lengths to share videos and share lots of really positive information about the company.
Good. The next question is from Sylvia: how to effectively reach older people, not only by recommendation? Okay,
good question. So I think it's a very, very good question. And I'm not going to say that, I would say ask for a few different opinions on this, or a few different ideas, or maybe you could go to, or look at existing businesses which serve that segment. So for example, maybe there is an insurance company that targets older people, or maybe there are other services that target them. That would be something to look at. The other thing is just intuitively, where do older people, where do they go? What do they look at? What media do they consume? Where do they group together? So for example, is there an older seniors, I know this is going to be very, what would you say? This might perceive to be ageist, but maybe there's an old person's group that gets together to play cards, at a special location. Are there areas where you can at least get started, where these groups of people either meet together, or can you learn anything from existing products and services that market to these people?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't think that was particularly helpful. But anyway.
No, it was helpful because you gave me a great idea that I have not thought about before. Thank you.
Okay.
So the next question is from Bose. Our products are new. How can we set up a product roadmap with the customers?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Bose. So I think the example I showed you was a Trello board. So Trello is a simple software where you can say, you can show different features on different cards, and I'd be happy to post the link to that if you want. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. Just so that you can see it. And, it may not be suitable for all businesses, but, I think they did this very early on in their career, very early in their company. And it was a great way to engage customers, and also to help your customers guide you in what features the products should have next.
Okay, who have any other questions? So please, now is the time.
Jesser, did you have a question at the start that you wanted to ask? Perhaps I cut you off.
Yeah, I was typing, so I think it will be easier if I just speak. So thank you for the great presentation. We have been trying to use this AARR, whatever model for some time. So when it's about, you know, tracking leads and revenues and referrals, it's much easier than measuring awareness. So we use influencer marketing, and what we have seen is we haven't received much of revenue or leads through influencers, but it's obvious that, you know, these people have thousands of followers. We don't randomly pick them. They are, you know, their followers are our target audience. So is there some sort of, you know, tools or methods we can use to measure how useful, you know, to add some monetary value to awareness? So if there is anything. I hope my question was clear. So we know that people see them using our product. Just to mention, our product is a marketplace for booking experiences. So we use travel bloggers, family bloggers to create awareness about our platform. If they book, we know they book it. But if they don't know, they know about our product. So how do we measure the awareness before it turns into some sort of lead or revenue? Thank you.
No, thank you. That's a great question. It's a fantastic question. So I think to measure awareness per se is sort of difficult, because, you know, you can obviously, you know, pay a market research company to survey your customer segment. So say, for example, if your target customer segment is the 18 to 25 traveler, you know, and as say, I don't know, maybe to say there's in Moldova, I don't know, what's the population of Moldova? Or is your market?
The guys are from Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, okay. Say for example, yes, say for example, like there's 100,000 18 to 25s in Azerbaijan in that age group. And you can pay a market research company to survey, you know, say 1,000 people in that group and ask them, have you ever heard of this company? And they, you know, whatever X% say. So that's like obviously the very probably expensive way of doing that, but you can do that to give you some idea. The other thing that I would say is though, is that, you know, awareness is fine, but it would be interesting to look at, you know, you've got awareness at the top of the funnel, as you know, and then you have, say, purchase or booking at the bottom of the funnel. But like in between that, there should be some other metrics that should help you at least add more meat onto the consideration phase. So like when they post about your business, you know, how many people actually click on that post? How many people go from that post to your website? How many people email you to ask you? If they come to your website, you know, do you have a chat tool that they ask questions there? So you should be able to look at, you know, if your baseline is you get 100 visits per day, and then when you do an influencer post, obviously it goes to like 300. So, you know, you can measure pretty well what the impact of that is. I think the question I would ask is, you know, with the volume of content that's out there at the moment, you know, awareness is great, but how do you accelerate from awareness to consideration? You know, is there something else that you can do in that consideration component to try and improve your conversion from, you know, they've seen that to the purchase, and to think about how, you know, what options do you have there?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. Do we have any other questions? Okay, if there is not, I think we can wrap it up here. So Ciaran, thank you so much for joining us. and for spending your time with us in this evening. You had a great presentation, and we're thankful for that. I hope the founders also liked it, and hope to see you with other opportunities and share experience with our startups.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Carlo, and thank you to everyone at the Upcelerator. It's been very nice to meet you and learn about all the work that you're doing, and best of luck with all your startups. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. So, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have a sales session at 6. Don't forget about that. So make sure that you check the Slack and email, and everything will be good. So have a nice evening. Thank you so much.